This video goes with the lab that you need to complete before we start section 4.2, and it's going to work best if you work with your calculator along with what I'm doing on my calculator. You also want to work through this as you go through and answer the questions on the handout on the lab that you're going to turn in for a grade. Remember that you can pause, rewind, replay. You can do whatever you need to do to give yourself time to get your calculator doing the right things. And it's important that you be able to do this with your calculator. So we want to start by entering the numbers from 0 to 2 pi in list 1. So we'll go back to Stat, Edit, okay, and all our stuff has been cleared out. So in list 1 we want to enter the sequence, which we get by hitting Second, Stat, move over to Ops, Option 5. And the expression is still x, the variable is still x, the starting value is still 0, the ending value though is going to be 2 pi. And our step, instead of being 10, let me just clear that out of there, I want to enter the fraction. Well, that's not going to work. Okay, I want to enter the fraction pi over 24. So I'll go pi divided by 24. And then we're going to paste that in our list. So again, if you're going to actually need to enter this by hand or just type this in, it's sequence x, comma 0, comma 2 pi, comma pi divided by 24, close parentheses. And enter that. And now we've got numbers starting at 0 going to 2 pi, and the increment is pi over 24. Now I chose pi over 24 because that's evenly divisible into 2 pi. Anything that will divide evenly into 2 pi would work nicely. You do want to have enough points on the scatter plot so that you see what we're supposed to see here. So I would really recommend pi over 24. That's going to work well. Alright, question 2, we want to make sure our calculator is set to work in radian mode. So press your mode key. The third line down, you need to switch that now back to radians. And then second quit. Back to the list editor. Okay, and it's important that you change the mode before you enter the information in list 2 and list 3. In list 2, we want to enter the cosine of all of our list 1 values. Okay, and again we've got angles measured from 0 to 2 pi, and that's all in list 1. In list 2 we're going to have the cosine value of each of those angles. Let the calculator do that work for you. Similar keystrokes to get the sine of all of the angles in list 1 entered for list 3. So again, if you see numbers that are different from the ones that are on my screen, you need to go back and check a couple of things. First of all, is your list 1 sequence set up correctly? Just clear out what you've got and start over. Second of all, is the mode of your calculator set to be radians? If you are still in degree mode, you're going to get totally different and incorrect answers here. Alright, then we want to go with a -3 to +3, x-min and x-max, -2 to +2, y-min and y-max, and we want to graph a scatter plot. So second, stat plot, plot 1 is turned on. Make sure that you select scatter plot. We want ordered pairs that are L2, L3, and I would really strongly recommend that you use the decimal point or the pixel point for the mark. Press graph. Okay, and in question 5, pause the video here and answer question 5. Describe in as much detail as possible what you see right there. You also need to go ahead and answer questions 6, 7, and 8. Remembering that the numbers in list 1 are angles measured in radians. What is it that we've got in list 2? And what is it that we've got in list 3? And then pay attention to what each ordered pair on that scatter plot is. And then questions 9, 10, 11, and 12 are going to work exactly like those questions did on the previous lab. If you press trace, okay, the first number, the first ordered pair, is the cosine and the sine of 0 radians. If you use your right arrow key to move the cursor, now we've got an ordered pair that's the cosine and the sine of whatever angle we're at. If I'd actually paid attention to where I was, let me get back to 1, 0. Alright, so if I right arrow, let's see, 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Since the increment or the step was pi over 24, I have just now moved down my list so that I've got 4 pi over 24, or pi over 6 is the angle that corresponds to this ordered pair. So that 0.8660254 is the cosine of pi over 6 radians, and 0.5 is the sine of pi over 6 radians. So when you've got your cursor positioned somewhere in the first quadrant, you're ready to go back to the home screen, type in x squared plus y squared, and press enter. Do the same thing for a point, at least one point in the second, the third, and the fourth quadrants to answer questions 10, 11, and 12.